The second the leaves start to turn color and there's a chill in the air, there's nothing I crave more than a big bowl of soup. Today I'm showing you the top 5 soups I always make during the fall. Get ready for your house to smell amazing. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Taylor from The Girl on Bloor. I'm all about showing you how to make easy, healthy recipes that you can live your best life. Now we already know how basic I am, so it's no surprise that fall is my favorite season. My favorite thing to eat during my favorite season has to be a big bowl of soup. Today I'll be showing you how to make 5 easy, healthy, and delicious soups that highlight all the in-season produce. We'll be making butternut squash soup, chicken noodle soup in the crock pot, an easy taco soup, broccoli cheddar soup, and a super quick curried lentil soup made in the Instant Pot. All of these amazing soup recipes are gonna get you in the mood for cooler weather ASAP. If you're loving all these options, check out my free 7-day fall meal plan filled with other amazing comfort food recipes. I've linked to it in the description of this video. Okay, let's dive into these soups. We'll start by making the crock pot chicken noodle soup. This is a classic and it's made easier and more flavorful thanks to the crock pot. We'll start by prepping our ingredients. Dice up 1 yellow onion, chop 2 carrots, 2 celery stalks, and mince 4 cloves of garlic. Then you'll chop up about 1/4 cup of fresh herbs. I like to go with a variety such as rosemary, thyme, parsley, and sage, but you can use whatever you have on hand. You can also use 2 teaspoons of dried herbs. If you do this, I recommend you go with Italian seasoning as that will contain all of the herbs I just mentioned. Once you've got that little bit of prep done, you'll add 1 tablespoon of olive oil to your crock pot, followed by 1 pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast. Add everything you just chopped up along with half a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 6 cups of chicken broth, half a cup of frozen corn, and half a cup of frozen peas. Cook on high for 4 hours or on low for 8 hours. When there's just half an hour left of cooking time to go, you'll add in 2 cups of dry rotini pasta. Let it continue cooking, then remove and shred your chicken before adding back to your pot. Easy peasy chicken noodle soup is ready to serve. This really is the ultimate comfort food. You just can't go wrong with chicken noodle soup, and the crock pot makes it so much easier and hands-off. Next, we will make my absolute favorite fall soup, which is this butternut squash soup. I've made it with all types of different squash, but butternut is a classic and one of the easier squash to find at the store. What you'll do is preheat the oven to 425 degrees, then cut up 1 butternut squash, chop up 2 carrots, and chop up 1 yellow onion. I typically like to buy my butternut squash pre-chopped from the store to save time. That's just me being a lazy brat, to be honest. Here's how to cut a butternut squash since it is much cheaper to buy. First up, microwave it for a couple minutes to soften it. Then I recommend chopping off the ends of your squash so that you can then slice it in half lengthwise. From there, it's much easier to peel with a Y peeler. I've linked to the one I'm using in the description. Once you've got your squash peeled, you can scrape out the seeds and then chop into 1-inch pieces. It's a little extra work, but it's worth it to save money and extend the shelf life of your squash. Once you have your veggies, you'll add them to a parchment-lined baking sheet. Add in 8 whole cloves of garlic, trust me on this, then toss the whole mixture with 1 tablespoon of olive oil and half a teaspoon each of salt and pepper. Bake the whole tray for 30 minutes, tossing twice. When your veggies are done, you'll remove them from the oven and let them cool for about 10 minutes before adding to a blender. You could use a large bowl and an immersion blender in a pinch, but a high-speed blender will get you such a beautiful velvety texture, so I highly recommend it. Once you've got the veggies in the blender, add in 3 cups of vegetable broth, 1/4 cup of heavy cream, 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh sage, 1 tablespoon of chopped fresh thyme, and 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. Blend until smooth and you are ready to serve. Serve in large bowls and then you can fancy it up with some creme fraiche, pumpkin seeds, a sprinkle of fresh herbs, and some cracks of black pepper. Don't forget the fresh bread either. This is absolute perfection and basically fall in a bowl. Chef's kiss. Okay, next up is our broccoli cheddar soup, which is a copycat of the Panera Bread recipe. You have to try this. Start by dicing up 1 onion, 2 celery stalks, and 1 carrot. Mince 2 cloves of garlic, then chop up 1 head of broccoli very finely. We won't be blending the soup, the broccoli will cook as is, so you want the pieces to be very small. With the prep out of the way, let's get to cooking. Heat 2 tablespoons of butter in a large pot over medium-high heat. Add your onion, celery, and carrot, sauteing for 5 minutes until the veggies are tender. Add in your minced garlic along with half a teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Stir that up for 30 seconds, then whisk in 1/4 cup of flour, tossing your veggies to coat, then slowly whisk in 1 cup of milk and 2 cups of vegetable broth. Make sure to use a whisk to prevent the flour from forming lumps. Bring everything to a boil, then add your broccoli. Allow your soup to cook for 8 to 10 minutes until the broccoli is tender, stirring often. While that is cooking, you can then grate 1½ cups of cheddar cheese. You'll stir this in at the end, whisking until fully melted and combined. And just like that, you are ready to serve. The only negative thing I have to say about my recipe development here is that this soup just doesn't make enough. It really only does make 4 servings, and as you'll see after you have 1 bowl, it's just not enough to really satisfy your cravings, so I highly recommend that you double up on this recipe. It's a good one. Okay, moving on to our next recipe, which is this delicious taco soup. You can technically make this one in the crock pot, Instant Pot, or on the stovetop. I've got directions for all 3 on my website, but today we are just going with the easiest way on the stove. Dice up an onion, then mince 2 cloves of garlic. You'll also want to open up a can of black beans, then rinse and drain them. Now you can use store-bought taco seasoning to speed up this recipe, or you can make your own. I usually make a huge batch ahead of time that I keep in my spice cupboard. Just mix together equal parts chili powder, cumin, coriander, paprika, onion powder, garlic powder, and a pinch of chili flakes. With the prep out of the way, we can get to cooking. Brown 1 pound of extra lean ground beef in a large skillet over medium-high heat, cooking for about 5 minutes. Add in your onion and garlic, sauteing another 2 to 3 minutes until fragrant. Stir in 2 tablespoons of your taco seasoning, followed by 1 tablespoon of lime juice, 2 cups of frozen corn, your rinsed and drained black beans, 1 can of green chilies, and then 1 can of diced tomatoes. You can also use 3 cups of salsa in place of the diced tomatoes, whatever your preference. Add in 2 cups of beef broth, then you're going to bring it all to a boil and let it simmer for at least 30 minutes. You can technically leave it for longer, the flavors will better develop with more time, but if you're in a pinch, then 30 minutes will do the trick. Ladle into large bowls, and now here's the fun part, the toppings. I like to sprinkle some grated cheese over top, followed by some diced up red or green onion and cilantro. Add a dollop of sour cream and some tortilla chips, and you're in heaven. This taco soup is basically like a spicier chili, which is just key for cooler weather. My mom always made chili on Halloween before we went trick-or-treating. It's just such a classic, and I'll eat it all fall and winter like a million times. Okay, now we are on to our very last recipe. I've showed you 2 plant-based options so far, and this one is vegan. I think it's also my favorite next to the butternut squash soup, and today we are doing it in the Instant Pot. It's easy enough to do on the stove. I've got instructions in the description below this video, but I wanted to show you how to do it in the Instant Pot too because it's such a game changer for soup making. You do your prep, dump, then press start. Boom, dinner ready in 30 minutes. Chop up 2 onions, 2 carrots, and 3 stalks of celery, then mince 4 cloves of garlic along with 1 tablespoon of fresh ginger. Open up 2 cans of coconut milk and 1 can of diced tomatoes, then you can start cooking. Add 1 tablespoon of olive or coconut oil to your Instant Pot, followed by your onions, carrots, celery, garlic, ginger, coconut milk, and canned diced tomatoes, juices and all. Then you'll add 1 cup of vegetable broth, 1 tablespoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, and 1.5 cups of dry red lentils. Cook on high pressure for 3 minutes. Yes, just 3 minutes. The Instant Pot will take about 15 minutes to come to pressure, so it does end up taking a bit longer than that, but it's super easy and hands-off. Once the Instant Pot is done, do a quick release of the pressure, then open the lid when the pressure valve has dropped and it's safe to do so. All you need to do now is stir in 4 cups of spinach and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. This soup is so pretty on its own that you don't even need any garnishes. Just serve and enjoy right away. It does make a ton of servings, just to warn you, so you may want to cut the recipe in half because it does serve at least 6. Sometimes I even get 8 servings out of it, so fair warning. Now, having touched on the serving sizes, I love soups because almost all of them are freezer friendly. That's definitely the case with all the recipes I just showed you today. I love having a ton of variety in the freezer, so feel free to do a giant cooking day and make all the recipes I just showed you, because then you'll have soups on soups for the whole season. They make the best last minute dinner for when you've had a busy week and don't feel like cooking, but still want something homemade and comforting. I recommend freezing individual servings of each soup in 2-cup round glass containers with lids. The ones I have are a mix of Anchor Hocking and Pyrex. I've linked to them in the description of this video, so you can check those out. You can freeze the soups for up to 3 months, then reheat from frozen in the microwave for 6 to 7 minutes, stirring partway through. And there you have it, all of the amazing soup recipes you need to try this fall. In addition to the 5 easy recipes I just showed you, don't forget that there are even more fall favorites up on my blog. I've linked to many more delicious soups, stews, and chilies all in one blog post for you to take a look at in the description. And don't forget to download your free 7-day fall menu in the description as well. If you're a soup lover, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with friends and family, and tag me on Instagram when you give the recipes a try. Which one are you trying first? All right, I've got a lot of eating to do. Thanks for hanging out in my kitchen here today, and I will see you in the next video.